Hello guys, and you're very welcome to my review of Murdered Soul Suspect for the PlayStation 4. This game is also available on the Xbox One, Xbox 360, PlayStation 3 and PC. Sorry guys, there's no Wii U version. That kinda sucks. Murdered Soul Suspect puts you into the shoes and fedora of Detective Ronan O'Connor, whose life is brought to a grisly end after he is killed by the serial killer that is terrorizing Salem, known as the Bell Killer. A serial killer that kills his victims and leaves a bell mark at the scene of the crime. Ronan finally believes he can finally go to the afterlife to join his wife, but unfortunately he's stuck in Dusk, which is sort of like this ghostly purgatory world between the real world and the afterlife. Ronan can't move on until he solves the one thing he left unresolved in his life, the case of the Bell Killer and his murder. Ronan must solve the mystery of the Bell Killer and his murder before any more victims are claimed, and so that he can finally move on to the afterlife. The story in Murdered Soul Suspect is excellent. It's one of the best stories I've seen. It's probably the best story I've seen this year. It's excellently written, it's got loads of great characters, and it's just beautiful. It's a really great story. I mean, Ronan's a surprisingly likable character. At the start, sometimes through the game, he comes off as a bit of a gruff, kind of usual detective who doesn't play by the rules kind of guy. But once you get in on his backstory and you can tell more of his character, you can really tell he wants to atone for his criminal past. And he's actually a surprisingly likable guy. He's had it rough, but he really wants to make up for it, and I really admire that in him. So I really liked Ronan. I really wanted to see him succeed. Also, this is one of the few games where they actually do tie up the story threads and end with some closure. Thank you God. Seriously, after Watch Dogs, I don't think any game can end without baiting for a sequel. But anyway, now we must move on to the gameplay. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, the introduction to Soul Suspect is one of the best introductions I've seen to a game, period. It is up there with the likes of BioShock Infinite, Silent Hill 2, and Silent Hill 1, and Half-Life, with having one of the best introductions to a game ever. You'll know when you play the game. You'll see it. It's amazing. Gameplay-wise, Soul Suspect is put under three elements of gameplay. You've got exploration, you've got investigation, and you've got stealth. Exploration-wise, you can explore the town of Salem. It's a hub world between the main areas, and you can possess people to find out what they're thinking, and you can also collect collectibles to find out more on Ronan's backstory and more on the history of the town. So the exploration's pretty cool. You can also find other ghosts who are in the same position as you, and you can help them solve their own mini case. It's nice to solve these ones because it's nice to find the outcome, and it's really cool the way they then go into the afterlife. I find that quite sad, and that's beautiful. I really like that. Damn it, Soul Suspect, you're really tugging at my heartstrings. Investigation-wise, it sort of acts like L.A. Noire, in that you basically go into an investigate. When you're in an area, you'll investigate. You'll get a question, and then you'll have to gather clues. In the bottom right corner of the screen, there's like the amount of clues that you can find in this area. Once you find the right clues that you need, you can then answer the questions and then conclude the investigation. So I've got a few nitpicks with this investigation system. One, there's really no point to finding all the clues, because once you find the clues that you need, you really don't need the rest, to be honest with you. So it makes getting all the clues kind of pointless once you have the ones you actually need. And they're not too hard to figure out. It's not too hard to figure out which clues you'll actually need to use. And also, I don't like the investigation racing system that they have. Basically, if you get an answer wrong, you lose a shield, so you'll try again. You get it wrong again, you lose another shield. But for some weird reason, the last shield always stays there. They never get rid of it. So basically, you can then guess at random and get the right answer, which kind of totally undermines the whole idea of an investigation being a thinking a thing where you have to think which is the right clue. You could basically guess away and still get it right, and that kind of is stupid. I feel like they shoehorned this in at the last moment to make the player feel like that they're, doing something right, and it has no punishment and it has no rewards like system for doing well. So what's the point? What is the point. At least in games like LA Noire, which has a similar problem, at least when you get things wrong, the case still progresses, but at least it makes it harder and longer, and you have to chase up more leads because of it. It's a cool idea, but Murdered never tries this, and it would have benefited from having at least a punishment system for getting them wrong. The stealth elements, though, have to be the worst part of the game. At times during the game, you'll encounter demons. These are basically ghosts like you who were once in the dusk and were stuck there but could never move on, and now they only are around to consume other ghosts like you. So basically, what you have to do is you have to hide from these demons when they spot you. You have to then switch between all the hiding spots because they will check the hiding spots for you. Once you've lost them, you can then use your vision thing to spot them through walls and sort of track them. Then when you get behind them, you can hold down a button to execute them and then do a left analog stick and button press to finish them. Now, I don't like these sections because A, they're a shorter playthrough, and B, they're unnecessary. I mean, the game could have not had these at all, and it still would have been fine, so I no point to them other than they're annoying, and they needed to put in something combat-like, so I'm not a big fan of these stealth sections at all. I don't like them. Graphically, Murdered Soul Suspect runs on the Unreal 3 engine. It's an alright looking game. It's not going to set the world on fire, but it looks okay. You know, it's got some decent textures, the character models look good, you know, it's a decent looking game. I can't fault it. It looks better thanks to its art style, but you know, it's a good looking game. I can't fault it for that. Sound wise, it's got some Murdered has got some really good voice acting and some excellent music composed by Jason Graves. It's really good. The sound all across the board is excellent. It's brilliant. Performance and bugs wise, the game runs at 60 FPS at 1080p, kind of. The frame rate really likes to jump around the place. Sometimes the game runs at 60 no problem, but for most of the time it likes to meander and jump all over the place, and it really can be frustrating. It really is noticeable and kind of disappointing. I don't think Airtight properly optimized this game. I don't know if the last generation consoles or the PC suffers from these frame rate issues, but it's something to think about if you're buying the next gen console versions. The game also has a few bugs. It crashed on me twice. First time it crashed, I lost my save file, which is frustrating because I was about 5 or 6 hours into the game at that point, and that was really annoying. And the second time it crashed, it didn't delete my save this time, and it didn't crash again from the rest of the game, but it's something to think about if you do plan on buying this game. How about value for money? Well, Murdered Soul Suspect, to beat the game doing all the ghost side missions, now keep in mind I didn't really search for the collectibles or the ghost stories, will take you about 9 or 10 hours. Doesn't sound very long, but there's a reason to go back and play if you haven't gotten all the collectibles, but honestly, once you've done that, there isn't really a reason to go back and play it. It's kind of a one-note game. Once you've seen it, you've kind of seen it, and you don't really need to see it again. It doesn't change. So unfortunately, at the current price point they're retailing at, which is €70, I can't really recommend this game at that price point. It's too much. You're getting not a lot here for your money. It's a good game, but it's too much at the moment, and I'd actually recommend you wait for a price drop before buying this game. Plus, having those performance issues and bugs really drag this game down. So to recap, it's got a great story, it's got some cool exploration, and it's got some decent investigation elements, but it has some terrible stealth sections, a pointless racing system for the investigation, terrible performance, can crash at times, and yeah, you've got a game that's sort of a bit of a mixed bag. I really like Murdered Soul Suspect, but these issues are pretty bad, and there's no excuse for them, I'm sorry, but a terrible frame rate for a game that doesn't look too amazing, a game that doesn't really seem to really be pushing the PS4 is a bit unexcusable, and I think really they should have optimized it a bit better. But overall, I do like Murdered Soul Suspect, and I will give it a 7.5 out of 10. It's definitely worth a try. It's definitely worth a rental. If you can get it on a rental, it's definitely worth it. And if you can get it when it gets cheaper, it's also really worth it. If you're willing to get over some bugs and some crashes and some annoying performance issues and some terrible stealth sections, you've got an excellent story here with great atmosphere, great voice acting for your money. I think that's a good trade, personally. Well, guys, thanks for watching my Murdered Soul Suspect review. I'll see you guys later. Bye.